Well, hello and welcome to the show. Glad you've joined us. This week we're talking about branding season on diamond ranches. And you know, last year when we did this show, there was a lot of old people sitting around, myself included, talking about the value of the ranch life for young people and some of what went on there. And this year I thought, you know what, let's let the kids tell you in their own words. Let's let them tell you what these traditions mean to them and what they look forward to. And you know, it's our hope, dream, prayer that our young people pick up this tradition and carry it on, because ranching is a part of American history, a part of American heritage. But more importantly, it's our prayer that they pick up the moral character, the work ethic, the strong family values that are a part of ranching. And all of that can be displayed in a springtime branding when you see everyone involved. In our brandings, there's a lot of people, more than most people's brandings for sure. And it's chaotic and it's wild, but it's a lot of fun. It's simply a chance for all of us as friends and family to get together and enjoy each other. All of that's coming up right here on Discovering the Horseman Within.
Now the sun is rising slowly on the mountain you must climb, and the trail that takes you closer to the source. And you dream about the moment when you leave it all behind and climb up on that one true horse. That one true horse, the perfect partner built to ride. One true horse, a bond that cannot be denied. You would search forever just to have the chance take a ride on one true horse. We're gonna take a ride on one true horse.
A couple of months ago on the television show A Day in the Life of the Ranch, we talked a lot about traditions. One of the traditions that just goes hand in hand with ranching is the spring branding season. It's not just a tradition, however. There's also a practical reason behind the spring branding. The term maverick dates back to the mid-1800s in Texas, where a rancher by the name of Sam Maverick turned his cattle loose, and as they ran loose, whatever cattle he found, he just claimed as his because he didn't brand them or mark them in any way. The ranchers around him then began having to brand in self-defense of their cattle, so that they could mark their cattle to make sure they weren't one of Maverick's cows. We run on a lot of big country, lots of range ground, and frankly, our cattle do mix with the neighbors, just like anybody else's do. They stray, they get out. That's a part of ranch life. So the branding process is really a way of protecting your livestock as your own. It's a way of letting the whole world know, this is my animal and I'm proud of it. And that's what the brand has become. Even when we talk about big name companies branding their stuff, it dates back to that tradition started in the mid-1800s in Texas. In the Diamond McNabb Ranch Horse Sale, we use the Diamond M because we're proud of our horses. We want you to see that symbol on them. On our cattle, we put that diamond on them because we want people to know that they're our cattle. We're proud of them. And we're proud of the job we've done raising them and bringing them to you and to the market. And so when you look at spring branding, there is tradition involved. There is practicality. We need to vaccinate. We need to castrate. But then there's also the chance to protect our livestock, protect our income. And then there is lastly, but not least by any stretch of the imagination, the amount of pride that you put into the brand. And they're all things that are important to us to teach our children. They're all qualities that we want our kids to have as they grow up and take over the ranching industry. You know, as you watch these young people in this branding, you have to realize they're all doing different jobs. Some of them are simply playing, but many of the little kids are carrying livestock markers around with them. And they understand the responsibility of their job. When we vaccinate this calf, we want to make sure he doesn't get that vaccine again by accident. So this young person's job is to mark this calf with chalk. That's the first entry level of responsibility that's offered at the branding. It's a simple job, but they have a sense of pride in knowing that they've done their job, they've done it well, and they were a part of making the day successful.
I was about a few weeks old when I started branding. I was born in April, so my mom took me up with my dad, and Mom did the shots and I sat on the tailgate.
I think I probably went to my first branding when I was like 3, not that I did much. I mean, I just kind of watched from the fence. But then when I got older, like 7 or 8, I started doing the chalk. It's fun to draw like smiley faces and stuff. I really just enjoy going through and marking them all after they get them with the shots.
All day, every day, it was chalking for the folks who were giving vaccinations. As soon as a vaccine is given, you have to stripe a certain color of chalk down the calf's back to indicate that it has a certain vaccine, and that's the kids faithfully following around our parents chalking.
I was about a year old when I went to my first branding, and I started just holding herd on a horse, just sitting there with my mom. And eventually I went up to chalking and giving shots, and then I went to roping and wrestling, and I went up from there.
And probably our second job was vaccinating, and we were so excited because it was something besides chalk, and we did that for a long time before we finally got to start wrestling. And then we were even more excited.
After chalk, you kind of go up to the shots and the vaccines.
It's called round grow, and it goes into the calf's ear.
And then as you get a little older and bigger, you start wrestling, which is my personal favorite.
I love wrestling. It's so physical and, you know, just a great time, you know, picking calves and just start to wrestle them. And I love working on form. You know, when you really flip a calf right, you can just feel it, and there's just great form. It's just a great time.
I love wrestling. It's a lot of fun going there and knocking cows down and hold them while they're getting branded.
Oh, it's fun. Yeah, it's hard, but it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
When the kids are young, they're learning a lot, you know, and you'll see that when we're wrestling, we'll have a kid sit in our lap and show them what to do, and, you know, here's how you hold them. Because it is, my first time that I wrestled, I was scared to death. And this great man, I don't remember his name, but he said, oh, just come sit down, I'll hold him. And I sat down right in his lap, and I knew that he had him the whole time, and it taught me, hey, you don't have to be scared, and he showed me a lot of good form.
We have a lot of fun with our younger siblings. They get all excited about brandings and try to outdo each other on their calf riding skills.
When you're younger, like 8 or 9, you usually get held on, or somebody grabs your hand, but we really just don't do that much anymore. It's fun to stay on by yourself and just see how long you can go.
Well, I learned how to castrate last year, and actually I never thought I would like castrating, but I actually kind of enjoyed it, so it's really not that hard. And honestly, it's one of the more important things that you do when you're branding.
When you put the brand on, if it's not done right, then you may run into trouble later with the brand inspector or just knowing that it's your calf. So it's really important that it gets on there correctly, which can be a little bit challenging, especially if the weather isn't great. So usually the boss or somebody who has experience in it will do that.
And so they look at all of these jobs, and a little kid who's carrying that livestock marker is really watching the person carrying the castrating kit, or they're watching the person carrying the branding iron, or they're watching the roper, and they're saying, I wonder if I get that job next year. And if they're really little, they're not going to get that job next year. They're not going to get that job for another 5, 6, 7 years. But by the time they do, they'll have all of those branding seasons behind them, all of that experience behind them, and they'll be well aware of what they're doing when they get there. Each of these young people is given the opportunity to fit into this wherever they will. And then there are those kids who we know aren't going to return to ranching, but they're still helping today because making a living is part of the family's job. And when they move on and they go to college and they have their own life, they'll make their living the way they choose. but they're willing to help here because they know that's just a part of being the family. You know, when we brand, one of the things that we work at doing is shortening the stress on the livestock to as short a time limit as we can. As a rancher, it's our job to keep this livestock alive. We are the doctor, we are the dentist, we are the one who cares for this animal. It's the producer's job to bring forth a healthy and productive animal. They have a great life. Now, we know that their protected life won't necessarily be all that long in all cases. Some of them are going to end up in a feedlot and eventually on your table. But you look at this couple of minutes of stress in their life, it's really not that hard of a situation on that calf.
The calves, really they have the life. We take as good care of them as we can. We help with the birthing process if we need to, and then they're sent out on rich green grass and healthy milk for a long time. I think that with the awesome life that they have living and all they can eat and good green pastures and fresh water, their 10 minutes just have to be worth it because you have to get them those vaccines. And for the safety of not getting inbred cows, then they have to be castrated and they have to be branded so that we can sort ours from the neighbors.
The highlight, honestly, now is to watch the kids go to work. So I contributed, and I think of it that way, I contributed 3 teenage daughters and 3 young boys. And honestly, now we help get the job done. The girls, honestly, I like to say, around my place, I got strong, tough girls. On branding day, forget it. You get out of their way and let them do their work. And I find that sort of a subject of pride. They are here to help and they're willing to do what needs to be done.
We really appreciate when the neighbors come down and help, and it's kind of a community thing. It's a very traditional, and we do it the traditional way. We actually drag them to the fire and brand them with a hot iron and all that. I know a lot of ranches now just have gone to using calf tables or running them down the chute, but we say, oh, we like the traditional way. It's kind of a community, old-fashioned, and it's a lot of fun. Usually we use a branding pot with propane because it's a little bit safer, so nobody gets thrown into the fire.
And it's more efficient. Mm-hmm. You don't have to worry so much about keeping your fire at a constant temperature because propane will do that better.
Well, I honestly don't remember when I learned to rope. I just have always just kind of roped, you know. So the first time I went in the pen, I was very nervous, but it just was something that kind of was natural, and then you just kind of took it to the next level, and it made sense. And you know, I'm still not very good, but I'm working on it. You know, I'm gonna get there.
Roping is one of my favorite things, and there's some times where I don't really want to rope, and others where I really want to rope and don't get to. But I enjoy it no matter I do it or don't. So the horses have to be really well trained to rope off of. You can't just go grab any horse and rope off of him because you could get into accidents or you never know what's coming up. So
the horses are definitely very important. They have the power to do it, and they have the strength to go all day where people would just tire out after a couple of calves. And when you get a really good horse, he knows how to set you up for a good shot. And when you go to take your dolly, then he'll be trotting out and delivering the calf to the rustlers waiting outside. And it's always important to have a horse that knows his business in the branding pen, because with so many people and ropes and dangerous things going around, a wreck is not a good thing to have.
In a lot of ranching scenarios, a ranch horse is made almost by accident. In other words, you are given a ranch horse, you work on that ranch for 2 or 3 years, that horse is in your string, and he might not have been much of a horse when you started, but after 2 or 3 years, he's a ranch horse because you've used him to do a job day after day, year after year. We take a little different approach. We try really hard to set our horses up to teach them what the response is going to need to be when the response is needed, so that they're actually in school to become a specialist for a particular job. In every single situation that you're watching here, these horses were brand new to our riders last year. The horse has been on the ranch getting accustomed to the terrain, so the cowboys, the riders, they all get on and they just start working their horses, learning about them, doing some groundwork, figuring this whole program out, so that a year later, they can bring them back and offer them to you for sale again. I think one of the greatest blessings that any parent can have is to have their children involved in what they do and be excited about it. And that's certainly one of the blessings we have here. Our kids all across the board love ranching. They love being involved in the horse training program. They love handling cattle and working with good horses. It's a part of who they are. Might not be what they do their whole lives, but it is a blessing to us as parents to see them smile, to see them laugh, and to know they enjoy the same things we enjoy. And you know, we make it a point to tell our kids, if you want to race motorcycles, we're going to help you do that. Life is short. Choose what you want to do, chase that dream, and accomplish it. But it is always fun as a parent to watch your kid be involved in what you're doing and know that they like it. They genuinely enjoy it. And that's a great blessing that all of us as parents here on the ranch have noticed that we have in common. Our kids love what they're doing.
It's not our job right now, but it is fun growing up on a ranch to be there at the brandings and do some of the cattle work and ride horses and do all that stuff. So that's kind of what I'd like to do.
Just all the experience I'm getting right now, I feel could go into my future. Seriously, here there is a lot of self-discipline required. You have to have that discipline to get up in the morning and go out when it's sleeting snow and you have a three-hour drive to go with naughty little calves who are always trying to escape.
I don't know if I'll do it as a career, but I definitely am not going to give up ranching. It's a pleasure to be out there with the hands, and it's fun. So I hope to do that the rest of my life.
My favorite part of ranching, I think, is being out in nature, being closer to God. There's just such a peace and such a joy, and there's such a satisfaction out of doing something right and doing it well and accomplishing something. It's very rewarding.
I know where my food comes from. I know some of how to farm, and I like the whole experience about it.
Being out with my family it's a fun experience. I love my family. There's no one that I would rather spend more time with than my family. There's just a great bunch of people. So I love that we're all out here and that we're still doing it. You know, I love that Grandma Susie and Grandpa D are still coming out and are still helping and branding, and it's such a great aspect, and that all the family and generations are here. It's really great. I hope that when I'm 60s, my grandchildren will be out there and I'll still be helping them, and we'll still be able to do stuff like that because I love it. It's such a great time.
When I was only 6 years old, my favorite thing to see were all my faithful cowboy stars riding on TV. Well, they'd rope and they'd sing and they'd save the day from the backs of their four-footed friends. And I'd ride beside them every night until we'd meet again. And over and over and over again, I'll ride that wild horse, toss my heart to the wind. If I take a fall, I'll just get up and then I'll climb back on that wild horse all over again. I'll climb back on that wild horse all over again.
You know, as I look at the highlights of it, this is the first year for me that Kurt has been old enough to rope at one of these Diamond Ranch brandings. He's roped a couple other places, but this is his first year here, and it's the first year ever on a horse he did all the training on. When he started dragging calves on Flint, I knew things had really come a long way for me. It was a lot of fun. I hope you've enjoyed this show as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. And until next time, may God bless the trails you ride.
For more information about Ken McNabb Clinics, appearances, and products, visit kenmcnabb.com.
One true horse, the perfect partner built to ride. One true horse, a bond that cannot be denied. You would search forever just to have the chance take a ride on one true horse. Gonna take a ride on one true horse.